this is Jim Skelly, and this is week number 9 in the Global Conversation. I hope you've had an enjoyable week. I know there's a lot for us to talk about this week, and I hope we'll have the opportunity to really go through some of it in some detail. The basic issue that I want to talk to you about this week is water, because today, the 22nd of March, is World Water Day. Interestingly, I went for a walk this morning, stimulated in part by something that I heard on BBC Radio 4. It's about what's called psychogeography. I'll send you a link about this. It's sort of interesting, but essentially it's there's a lot of discussion about the precise laws and specific effects of the geographical environment, consciously organized or not, on the emotions and behaviors of individuals. And the BBC had this wonderful discussion this morning with Will Self, a British journalist, who was talking about the fact that he had walked recently from his place in central London to Heathrow Airport. No one does this. And so it was interesting to hear him talking about his experience of it, because for the most part, we are not attentive to our natural environment. And so I thought to myself, it was a beautiful day here in Derry, I would go for a walk along the river. And if you walk south along the river here, along the old rail line, which has now been turned into a hiking and bicycle path, you walk in through some beautiful, beautiful country. And so I did that. And when I was going, I was a couple of miles from Derry. One of the things that I encountered was a beautiful piece of public art called Salmon Shoals. It's where the salmon fishermen had historically fished for salmon. This river is particularly known for its salmon. So, and when I was there, there's this beautiful piece of art with 3 large pieces of wood stuck into the ground with metal representations of fish on it, stainless steel representations of fish on them. Quite beautiful, I must say. But who's standing there but the artist herself, a woman named Charlotte Howarth. And Charlotte told me that she'd come out to see it because she'd heard that it had been vandalized in a minor way, and it had been. There's a lot of self-destructive behavior in these parts. And what was interesting was her discussion about the piece of art, you'll see a picture of it right here now that I've inserted in this podcast. And then her husband came over, a man named Owen Shields. And Owen is a landscape architect who works on an eco village in England. It's a zero carbon village that's being built in a part of the east part of England. The village is called Rackheath. And so I'm going to put a link to both Salmon Shoals and Rackheath in the email that I'll send you shortly. It goes along with this podcast. I think you'll find it terribly interesting. But the theme of water is one I haven't been able to get away from today, not least because I've been researching Coca-Cola's use of water. Coca-Cola uses somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 liters of water to produce 1 liter of Coca-Cola. And it is producing it all over the world, as you probably know. And in some places where there's drought, there's been quite a bit of contention, because it seems that Coca-Cola is using water that farmers would normally use to make Coca-Cola, and the farmers are not able to irrigate their crops. It's one reason, perhaps, that Coke is trying to be a very environmental friendly company, because I think they realize that they could be subject to increasing attacks by eco-conscious consumers, if you will. So that you can also check your own information about water. There's a water calculator in this week's syllabus. Towards the bottom of the page. Take a look at that and calculate your water, if you will. how much water you're using, and take a look at the website of World Water Day as well. I'll put all these links in the email to you. The other thing is that I announced last week a competition. Next Saturday, the 27th, is Earth Hour Day. And the idea is for people all over the world, regardless of what time zone they're in, so that it'll be a sort of successive turning off of lights, people are to turn off their lights for 1 hour starting at 8:30 p.m., 20:30, according to military and some other forms of time. But so think about doing that, actually, and contributing to that, and checking out Earth Hour Day's website as well, which I put in a link for you too. And also do join in the competition. See how many lights you can turn off in the little Earth Hour game, and let me know your score. I've made a special forum for this. Let me know your score. The highest score will win a prize, and it's not a bad prize, I have to say. Okay. The other thing is that Chris and a couple of the other teaching assistants have found this very interesting website, which I'll also post something to. It's called Global Pulse. It sounds a bit like the Global Conversation. It's being run by the United States government, and you can actually participate with other people over a 3-day period from the 29th to the 31st of March. They want to take the pulse of global citizens all around the world. So I think you might find that terribly interesting as well. Again, I'll put the website up for you, and you can check into that. I want to thank the ISIS students who've been sending in their midterms. If anybody's having trouble down in Hungary completing their midterm, please let me know, and let's talk about how you might get it done. I've also posted this week information about the final essay. So that's only due in about, I guess it's about 4 or 5 more weeks. So that's something to take a look at as well. And most importantly, please let me urge you to participate in the learning circles, help put together the final PowerPoint presentation project that each learning circle is meant to put together. It's a collective project, and so you need to define what your particular piece of that is with your colleagues. Now, finally tonight, I have a very, very funny story. And that is that a woman in Colorado did something terribly, terribly interesting. She bought, a year ago, on the 6th of March, 2009, she bought a Happy Meal from McDonald's, right? And it had a big burger in it and some French fries, of course. And this woman lives in Colorado, and the thing is, she took a photo of it a year ago, and it looks exactly the same today. It doesn't seem to have deteriorated at all. There's no mold, nothing. And she says that she kept the windows open from time to time, and guess what happened? Even the flies and the insects wouldn't go near it. They couldn't be bothered. As she said, if flies ignore a Happy Meal and microbes don't decompose it, then your child's body, or your body for that matter, can't properly metabolize it either. And then she says, now you know why it's called junk food. So that's a little moral lesson for the week. Be careful about what you're eating. I hope you have a good week. The Easter holiday is coming up. I hope some of you are able to catch up on some of the things that you may be behind on. I'll be away for the next 2 weeks, but I will post again in a couple of weeks, and I may post some other things in the interim just on the website. Keep talking as long as you're not on holiday, and enjoy the holiday if you do in fact get to someplace lovely. All the best.